we've got a great episode for you. I've got my hands back. We had some intro music. We've got a lot of new things to discuss. A little bit of a new segment, so you see it's just me right now. We're going to bring in our surprise guest in a little bit. Maybe we have another surprise guest. Who knows? So we are going to kick things off with, again, some new segments. I'll bring up some things right here. So we've got the rundown. So the rundown is how we're going to kick off each episode. I'm going to go through each of the segments that we'll talk about. So you can see we've got the week in review. We've got the guest spotlight in a new spot, no longer starting with that. And then we'll go into the week ahead, and then we will kick out with some pod updates and obviously finish off with the catch-up. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. We worked really hard on this episode, and yeah, let's get things kicked off. We're going to hop into the results from last week. So we can see, I'm going to look over because I don't remember the winners, and this isn't that professional. So we had Steve over Glenn in the matchup of the week. We had first and second place. Glenn with a little bit of a slow week. Not going to dive into it too much, but Steve comes away after not a strong showing himself. I come up with the Monday Night Miracle after Josh Allen nearly blows it. The Commanders couldn't quite put any points on the board for Jesse, so I take the win then. Bill finally gets in the W column, going from Owen to Juan. Owen Juan, really. Well, 0-5. 1-5. I don't know. I'm screwing it up. But he gets his first win over Evan, who drops down to 1-5. Then we've got, let me take a look. We've got Brendan with a big week, wins the battle of the Jody boys, putting Rilla away by around 50 points. And then Jimmy takes care of Ned, while I think that's it. Oh, and then Tyler takes the cake over Ryan in another Monday Night Miracle on the back and wings of Bijan Robinson. So pretty crazy week. Again, no more undefeated teams, and a lot of 2-4, a lot of 3-3. So let's move on. We're going to highlight this week's Clowns and Crowns. If you read the warm-ups or the write-ups last year, you might be familiar with this. We're going to go through each of the position total groups that scored the highest for each team, kind of get into maybe why some of these scores came out the way they did. So for our first score up, we've got the overall crown, the team crown, going to Brendan at 127 this week. Next up, we've got the team clown, Glenn, only 53 points. Part of that big reason, did not get 28 points from CJ Stroud at QB. Only got 9. It's the lowest in the league. Steve, however, on the other hand, pushes his way over Glenn at 31 points. So huge discrepancy just in that matchup alone at QB. Neither team really scoring a ton of points, but Steve with the big day from Pat Mahomes. Next up, Brendan is the leader for running back points between Scadaboo and Josh Jacobs. They went off for about 56 points. And then over on the other side, the other Duffy, Ned, scoring the fewest points across the running back position with Genty and a couple of others. Coming back on the other side to Bill. We've got Bill with the highest wide receiver total at 36. Lad McConkey finally getting on the board and looking alive. And then over on the other side, Ned makes another appearance with the lowest point total for wide receivers. And then finally, we have Ryan. Forget who he's flexing. I'll probably research harder next time. We're doing a lot of design this episode. But Ryan led the way for flex and tight end, while Steve couldn't really put much together for those positions. So there you have it, our week 4 Crowns and Clowns. Moving on to our Blunder Report. Producer, we're going to make a quick edit. Can we just move me over a little bit? Or make something smaller? Please pause for these technical figures out. We're going to move on anyway. So our Blunder Report. We've got 2 blunders of the week. Cost these managers their matchups and the win. First up, we've got Ryan. I'm not going to attempt to try to say your team name on camera. But his blunder, he started Travion Henderson over Kamani Vidal. So just go to the lock. And then make me smaller. Hey, look at that. Can't not share these graphics. So if he had started Kamani Vidal over Travion Henderson, he would have put up an additional 17.2 points. If we could take a look at that math there. So he would have gotten over to 116.3 on the total, which would have been enough just barely to beat Tyler and hold off that Monday Night Miracle. On our next blunder, we've got Ned. Ned with a tight matchup to Jimmy. Had he benched Zay Flowers with Cooper Rush at QB, would anyone have done that? Maybe not. All blunder reports aren't created equal. But it was indeed a blunder. He left Hollywood Brown. Really, maybe the last game there he's going to be relevant. Hopefully not. Knock on wood somewhere. So Hollywood Brown could have added 13.9 to Ned's overall score, and that would have pushed him up to 79.92, which would have been enough for the W. But he rolled with Zay Flowers with Cooper Rush in Baltimore. There you have it. There are blunders. Now we are on to Stream of the Week. Oh, and who could that have been? A lot of good moves this week, but I believe there was one that stood above the rest. I'm giving it to myself with Bam Knight. Picked him up at around, I think, 11:30 Eastern time. He added an 11.4 points to my slot position over a Kenny Gainwell option. Would have scored like 3 or something. Ended up being the difference in a close matchup. And if you can see, I'll bring up the receipts there. Very late waiver ad. Really completely vibes. No, I just listened to ESPN projections and I was too afraid not to start them. So there you have it. Stream of the week. Moving on. We have a new section. Now, we have been talking about this for a little while with median scoring. I'll just go over that really quickly in case you don't know what it is. You take the average score of the week and you see if your score was against it. 6 will be above, 6 will be below. And the winners get a win, the losers get a loss. So we're going to bring up everyone's record against the median average score. So a couple things pop out really quickly. Bill getting absolutely screwed. He has 5-1 against the average score, meaning he's been above average each week, but he's sitting at 1-5 for his real record. And we've got a couple people who are maybe a little bit taking advantage of a softer schedule. So we've got Jimmy with +2 wins from his head-to-head record versus the median score, and then Ned as well, sitting at 1-5 against the median score for the week. So we'll continue to track this. Again, some leagues count this, and it matters towards playoffs. So if you have a really hard schedule, it doesn't absolutely necessarily tank your chances at trying to make the playoffs. So we'll continue to track this, but interesting. Some red flags, some yellow flags, and then some green flags. So watch out for those green flag teams. All right, moving on. That takes us through the week in review. That was last week. Don't ask me any questions about it. Next, we have our guest spotlight. So without further ado, we have no intro music for him yet, maybe in a future episode. But will Mr. Tyler Cahill please join us on the pod? Loading. Ties on a computer from 2014. All right. Mr. Cahill, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Happy to be here. The production of this is just absolutely incredible. And the amount of time that you put into this is frightening, but also heartening as well.
We may have gotten some seed money from a billionaire looking to sway some middle-aged men. So you gotta put your basket out and catch what you can. So again, thank you for joining us here. We are going to do a quick overview. It's a good week for you. You are just taking over first place. You are sitting at 5-1 with the most points scored in the league by about 25 over the next closest team. You're 10th in points against, but as we just saw, you don't have a fraudulent record. You are putting up real points. You're first in points scored, like we said. ESPN has you number 1 in the power rankings and at 98% chance to make the playoffs, something historically you've only done 2 other times. You did manage a championship out of one of them. Looking back, I think in 2018. I don't have my notes in front of me. But it's been a good year for you. You've kind of had some peaks and valleys, some lower finishes historically, 2 last place finishes as well. But when you've been hot, and right now you're hot. RB2, RB6. Emeka Mbuka takes a little bit of a hamstring injury but he's a wide receiver 5 right now. And then Tyler Warren, tight end 1, does not look like that's going to change. And I'll give you some other flowers. You have had some injuries. It's not like things have been easy peasy for you. You have had to deal with some adversity. Jaden Daniels going down, Addison suspension, even the Burrow injury affecting your 2nd round pick. But all is well. Things are going great. So, a couple questions. I'll throw them at you. I'll give you the floor after this. But how are you feeling? What was your strategy going into this year? And what do you think's next for your team?
Yeah, feels good to be in first. This 6-7 weeks into the season here, as you said, sort of a unfamiliar spot for me over the last couple of years. So I'll take it while we have it. As everybody knows, you're only one injury away, or one major thing away from that all kind of falling apart. So we'll enjoy it while it lasts. But I think my strategy going into this year, honestly, I mean, as you mentioned, definitely helps that some of the injuries haven't been as season crushing as the last couple seasons have been.
Mm-hmm.
Last year you got Isaiah Pacheco go down, almost for the entire season. The year before that was Chubb's horrific knee injury. So due to not that you want to see injuries, but they happen, and it's good that they haven't been too dismantling for me just yet. But I think going into this year, obviously having the second pick and having Bijan there, that was just a no-brainer right off the bat, and he's just been every bit of a second, pick overall. Probably Evan could have been first pick overall, but hindsight is 2020. But so that's obviously been super helpful. I think going into this year, my thought honestly was I wanted to try to get as many rookies as possible. I think just given where the league is at now and where these guys are coming in and performing right away, you had a bunch over the last 2 years that have just popped right away. Even last year, I had Jaden last year. He was incredible. You had Neighbors, you had McConkey. Going back the year prior, you had Bucky Irving. So there's just been a lot of guys coming into the league that have just been popping from day one. So I really wanted to try to get as many of those guys as I could, because I thought their upside was going to be really high. I feel like have played it safe over the last couple years, and that hasn't really paid off. So I tried to take a little bit more risk, especially with that first round pick of Bijan, where I felt really good. So
Yeah.
being able to get Abuka, being able to get Warren, Tet, like all those guys have just been really tremendous. Obviously, it's feast or famine when you go with rookies, but that was sort of my thought, was that I wanted to try to target a bunch of those guys as I could.
Yeah, that's funny because even now saying that you have Ted McMillan, I have my notes in front of me and I have with an arrow pointing up and a question mark. Obviously you just kind of expect that he's going to score more and more. But with Ibuka, I kind of forgot that you had taken another rookie, and then Warren obviously too. So it's
Yeah.
they're all doing seemingly panning out pretty well. And it's one of the few edges that seemingly is there. You kind of have, that's the only risk and unknown. So that's where the upside sits right now with how much fantasy info is out there. One pick that is not a rookie that I'm just curious if you have any kind of thoughts, because obviously in the past sometimes players just fall to you. I think Leonard Fournette was a guy that fell to me and just kind of eventually have to take him. I think ETN maybe would be a good example with Glenn this year. But Javonte Williams has been a huge smash hit. Obviously Cowboys offense really high powered. He wins that bell call role, really no competition seeming in the backfield right now. Was that just pure bullshit, like I'll just throw a dart, or did you kind of have him targeted like before coming into that night, maybe as somebody who could be someone dropping down into those later rounds?
Yeah, I definitely had him targeted. I did not think I was going to get him as late as I did, especially in our league. I think I got him in the turn of that seventh round, potentially. Like I took Swift before that, so I did have him circled. I think it was just a matter of whether or not the Cowboys were going to kind of turn the page with their offense this year, and whether or not they were going to be losing games and having to throw a ton, or even in a position to score touchdowns. And clearly they have been, and he has, like you said, been that bell cow. So I think that has been huge for the team, especially like having Swift too as my third RB, when I thought Swift was potentially going to be my RB2. So for Javonte to pop like he has just been great.
Yep. So one thing, I don't know if people can see it on their phones here, but you have the second lowest number of acquisitions, so players who you didn't just draft. Steve is at the lowest with just 3 players acquired. You, Nick, and Ned all sit at 4. So looking ahead, again, you've dealt with some injuries. You didn't have to trade to make any solutions, but you've got a good record. You've got a strong probability for the playoffs. Are there any holes, and is there anything in your roster right now where you're looking to say, hey, I got to move, maybe I got to look for these pieces, I got to kind of try to target somebody in a trade? Or are you thinking, no, actually I think I've got everybody on the roster, or would you rather not reveal your hand right now?
I mean, I think everybody knows I've made some pretty horrible trades in the past, so I've definitely tried to
As one does.
temper some of that horniness, for lack of a better term, or just feel the need to trade. I think it's a lot easier when you start out 5-1, but that's also sort of a curse where you feel like you're in a good spot too, and you don't need to necessarily make any moves. I think wide receiver has been good so far. Obviously, with Ibuka going down, we'll see how long he's actually out for. But I think I've sort of gotten away with leaning on Javonta and Bijan and obviously Ibuka. Higgins, Tet, and Addison are all very touchdown dependent, as I think most wide receivers are. Obviously, in our league, so I think I would, if I were to make a move, it would be to probably upgrade at wide receiver. I don't know if I'm necessarily targeting anybody or who would sort of be on the block. It's tough. Like nobody's going to want to trade for Higgins.
Yeah.
Right now
Flacco.
with their
Flacco
situation and Tet, I like it. I just think it's Carolina isn't really targeting. He got some touchdown equity finally this week, which was good to see. So really, Addison's kind of been a garbage time fourth quarter guy, like just hitting a few yards here. He got that late touchdown. So I think I've gotten I've gotten away with it a little bit here in the early on with some of my wide receivers. So I would say, if anything, I would probably need an upgrade and maybe, be willing to move, like
Don't
Swift or, so, but yeah.
Perfect.
That's,
Perfect. All right. Well, good luck to you the rest of the way until I play you again, at least. We're going to jump ahead and we're going to start getting into next week. We're going to start with our next segment, Scary or Scared. So we're going to go through each team. Doesn't have to be a big project, but we are going to label each team. Are they a scary team? Are they someone you don't want to face in October? They're not someone you're looking to see on your schedule. Or are they a scared team where they're maybe in a little bit of trouble? They've got some holes in their roster. Maybe they're in a little bit of a record hole. And they're feeling a little bit scared right now. So we'll jump into it. I think we should start with ourselves. I think we're both on the scary side. I think people don't want to face us. We've got some depth at positions. We've got some high-powered maybe offensive player of the year candidates in Bijan and Puka. So I think just immediately we can just move ourselves over there and kind of save ourselves.
I agree. We're very scary.
Perfect. All right. Who would be your next nominee for? And again, it can be scared or scary. Who would you want to talk about next?
Yeah,
I'll
stick with some of the scary teams. I think no surprise here, just like based on some of the rankings. But I put Glenn in there. I think you have to. His team is stacked. Obviously, some injuries and things like that. But getting CD back, obviously the trade to get Jamar.
Yep.
AJ Brown has been underperforming. I don't think that continues for forever. Pitts has been pretty serviceable. He's getting some targets there. Judkins has been a beast so far. So I think he's definitely scary, especially later in the season as his team gets healthy.
Yep. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of questions with ETN coming into the season, but he's running like a man on fire, so it doesn't look like he's losing that job unless he gets hurt. But yeah, I agree that Glenn is definitely on the scary side. We'll see. We'll see what he can do with those wide receivers. I think this is the third year that he's gotten Jamar Chase in a row without drafting him. Just feels that way.
Yep.
All right. I'll nominate our next one. I'm going to throw out Bill as a scared team at 1-5. And even though his team is strong, he's got a good roster. Achane is on fire. McCaffrey looking healthy. Obviously did some sort of witchcraft to remain healthy this year. But that 1-5 record, it's just doesn't matter how good you are, and it's going to be a tough slog to get back. So we'll put him on the scared side. I think he's pretty easy.
Somebody on this call I know was able to turn around a 1-5 start. So I had Bill in the scary category as well.
There may have been some others.
I had faith in Bill.
All right. Who would be your next team? Let's throw another one out there.
I was going to say I had Jimmy as the last one as well for scary. I kind of went back and forth between
putting Jimmy at scary. Okay.
Jimmy at scary, yeah. I had I went back and forth between like Steve and Berger, but I just think Jimmy's team, with Dak just kind of playing out of his mind, Jimmy's wide receivers, I think, I know Marvin's a little banged up, but I think there's a ton of upside there. London's just getting a crazy amount of targets. I think if Devonta can maybe, um, kind of be that wide receiver, 3, 4, like that's a great wide receiver 3, 4. That's a good problem to have, I guess.
And I think that's what he is, currently.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't want to face Jimmy when all those wide receivers pop, and then to have Gibbs and Pacheco, like that's a good one too. And
yeah, I'll give you Jimmy on the scary side. I think Pacheco could be a surprise player. I think maybe some of the hype has died down. Kind of hoping that he might bounce back from the injury. He hasn't been great.
Yeah, and Chiefs offense are starting to click again. I think he could fall into the end zone a lot more. So I put Jimmy up there.
Yeah, and I think Mahomes will probably maybe stop running the ball a little bit if they try to lean on him. Although they haven't been able to do that too much. I will throw out. I think Steve is an interesting one because you said that you did not have him on the scary side, but I think we can stick with that Chiefs theme. I don't know where I'd put Steve right now, but we can kind of talk through it. I look at Mahomes. I think it's real. I think he's going to stay a top 5 fantasy QB this year. He is running the ball. We'll see how long it lasts, but it's already, it's week 7 and he's still doing it. He's throwing, he's getting Rice back this week. So I think the Chiefs are kind of pointed up. So that kind of scares me. The Lions have been interesting. They've been a little slow the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that's gonna stick. And I think that those guys are gonna look really good. And then Jonathan Taylor, I think definitely finished his top 3. After that, I do think Steve gets a little bit. Starting Trey Tucker every week, I think is a little bit rough. But he's hasn't been that bad. I actually looked at him today. He's gotten 60, 70 yards in like the last 3 games, if not a touchdown. So, but I don't know how long that lasts. So we'll. I don't know. I think with Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra, and Pat Mahomes, I think Steve might be scary.
It's a good 1, 2, 3 for sure, but then the depth kind of falls off. I put Steve in the scared category.
You think he's the depth? All right. I think at 5-1, or he's 4-2. He's 4-2. I think I have to put Steve scary and not scared.
Okay.
We'll see. These things can change. He might get a little. Maybe he thinks he's scary now. All right. So we'll move over. I'm gonna go. We'll go Evan. We'll just get this over with. Evan is scared. Evan is obviously scared right now. He's making moves. He's showing some courage. But to deny the fear would be arrogant. So he's scared. He's got to be. That injury to Joe Burrow 2 years in a row. Just I don't know.
It's brutal.
Shout out Evan.
Brutal. Hi, buddy. It's tough. It's just a tough start. I respect the fact that he made a move. Is trying to make some moves. Picked up booty. Hopefully he pays off the whole May booty stack. We'll see, but he needs wins and wins fast. So, but I agree.
If he can find a player named Red, I will trade him Rashad White, so he can be Red White Booty. All right. I'll call out. I think another team that is definitely on the scared boat, mainly because they've told me directly, is Jesse. Tough start for Brian Thomas. Derrick Henry fumbling away, things. But he looked good last week. But I think at 2-4, losing James Conner was really tough. So I think Jesse definitely qualifies as scared for the time being.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, and then
Bill Merritt isn't doing as much too either. So maybe if he turns it on, maybe he can. And Henry, obviously, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Any other call-outs? I think we've got 4 teams left. We've got Brendan, we've got Ryan, we've got Ned, and we've got Nick. And I think that these are the rightful 4 we didn't pick them for a reason. So who do you want to start with?
I put Rillo in the scared category as well. And I also put Berger in there, honestly. I just think Howell can't continue this torrid pace that he's on. JSN's been a stud. Obviously, he's wide receiver 1, but who knows if that will ultimately continue. And then again, kind of same thing as Steve. The depth after that sort of falls off. I guess if Vidal ends up getting a bulk of those carries, he's a great flex. but like just having to put in, Travion, like Chase Brown. So I just think like he's been kind of carried the last, couple weeks by some really huge games by JSN and Dowdle. So I think he's due for a little bit of progression here. So don't know necessarily if, he'll be quote unquote scared, but I would just be more scared. I'm less scared of Berger than I am some other teams.
That's fair. Yeah, I think going back to we'll start with Ryan, but yeah, I think with the injuries that he's dealt with already, obviously losing Neighbors after orchestrating a whole trade to get him is pretty brutal. But he bounced back, and then I think the disappointing thing is just getting that losing on Monday night to when you put up your best score, put up a really good score, and still take an L. When you're dealing with injuries, he loses Garrett Wilson. Another wide receiver down. So I do think that there's some room for optimism. I think that Chase Brown with Joe Flacco can start getting there. Chase Brown's averaged like under 12 carries a game all season. So I think if he can get, start to get into the 15-18 category and they have a couple more red zone drives, like he can turn it around and be a serviceable, RB2,
Yeah.
And then Vidal.
He just have to be in competitive games. They're just not in any competitive games, and he's not really getting any.
Yeah. So I think brutal loss for Ryan. If he can hold on and keep his record, get some wide receivers back with Garrett Wilson, maybe Vidal emerges, and I could see Hampton's injury lasting a little bit longer than maybe just the 4 weeks, from what I've heard, and then hopefully he can get some production and just get a couple wins and be healthy. So we'll see. I don't think he's out though. And then Baker and Fields doing really well. I'm gonna start with Brendan here, and I'm gonna put Brendan in the scared category, but I think that he is a wolf in sheep's clothing on that side. I think that his team could be really, really good. He's getting Mike Evans back. He's getting Bucky Irving back. So Scadaboo, Irving, and Jacobs looking like a really, really strong running back room. He's got Pickens. I think Pickens getting time to gel with Dak with Lamb being out could be something that just extends into the year. So I'm putting Brendan over there just for the record, being at 2-4. He's had to deal with injuries early, but I think Brendan is going to make a big push back as he starts getting some of those players back in his lineup.
Yeah, I didn't really know where to put Brendan, honestly, but I would agree, just based on, like you said, kind of record and some of the injuries and things like that. But if Evans comes back and
what? I'm making a judgment call here. I'm gonna move to put Brendan in the scary category because 2-4. He's a two-time champ. The guy's a two-time champ. He can come back from 2-4 is nothing. The first 4 weeks are dog water. They're preseason. All right, let's go to Ned, a 0-time champ. Sorry, Ned. 3-3, big fraud report, or big fraud indicators. I don't see it happening for Genty this year, at least on the Raiders. Maybe Olave with Drake May is just absolutely electric, and that goes in a good direction. Again, I think Ned's team is fine. They can beat you every week, in the sense that there's parity and there's not. He's got good guys and good roles. Zay Flowers is number 1 wide receiver. I'm forgetting who else is on his team, but the highs are just not there. I just don't see it happening unless Genty and Jalen Hurts just start, going crazy and Hurts puts together like an MVP season, which does not feel like it's in the cards right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, Hollywood Brown kind of had his moment, but I think with Rashee Rice coming back,
really healthy,
and then he's got Kelsey there. Kelsey really obviously is just has become Taylor Swift's muse, less focused on football now, and I don't think we'll see. We'll see what. So I would put. I'm in agreement with you there.
Okay, perfect. All right, so there you have it. We've got 6 scary teams, 6 scared teams, and we'll stick with this through Halloween. We'll see who ends up being the scariest, maybe. All right, we are moving to our next section, our busts and booms. Everyone says booms and busts, but not at the HomeLeagePod, where there is no UN League. We are going to go busts and booms. So we will bring up some matchups. You're not going to be able to see what's on the screen, but I will tell you who we're talking about. We've gone through the trouble of highlighting Ty's predictions. So the green circle team, for those who maybe have lower comprehension skills here, are the winner, and we have labeled the banana peel as the bust for the matchup and the rocket ship as the boom. So we have got Ty. Can you take over because I don't have this written down anywhere, and I keep looking over there like this, and my producer's gonna kill me.
Yes. Just tell me who. What team
so
we're on.
first matchup, we've got Jimmy versus Brendan, the battle of April 3rd.
Jimmy versus Brendan. God, who did I have in this one?
I can look over.
Yes.
You've got Brendan.
Yeah. For Bus, I had Devonta Smith. I just think,
Classic.
Again, Minnesota's got a good pass defense. That the Eagles just been struggling on offense. Devonta even more so. So I just think that continues there. And then my boom for this matchup is Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have a huge game against a little homer pick there. But I think I don't believe he's gotten in the end zone yet this year. So you may see him in the anytime touchdown parlay later. But I think he has a big week against the Titans.
Perfect. All right. And I'm just going to give one quick call out. Ryan, I know I'm not timing him. I did time you. I wanted to make you uncomfortable. We moved on. We're moving on with the segment. All right. So our next matchup, we've got Bill and Ned. You have gone ahead. I'll just read it because I can see it right here. You've gone ahead and picked Bill. That's okay. And then you have picked DK Metcalf for the boom while selecting Chris Olave as the bust. So get into it a little bit. Why are you picking Olave as the bust here?
I just think it's more like the Saints offense in general. Kind of has been sputtering. I know he's been decent this year, but they're away at the Bears. I do think the Bears defense is a little bit better than so maybe give it credit. And I just think that's going to be kind of a rock fight of a game, and I just don't see him hitting that. I think he's projected 9.5, almost 10 points. That's probably assuming he gets in the end zone, potentially, or I just don't see him getting 90 yards or a touchdown. I see him more getting 5-6 catches for 60 some odd yards, so or just kind of coming in under the projection than just a total bust.
Makes sense.
But
and then I know DK's got a pretty good matchup this week. I know a lot of other people like him as well. All right, we'll move on to our next matchup. We've got Jack and Evan, a big matchup for Evan. They all are at this point. Me in an interesting spot with a couple people who are questionable, maybe not going to play with some later practice reports, and then obviously no QB in my matchup right now. That being said, you do have me taking the W over Evan. You've got Drake May pairing up with Stephon Diggs for the matchups boom, with Quentin Johnston stumbling and maybe proving that he burned a little bit too close to the sun. So any additional thoughts on this one?
No, you kind of said it. I think, Quentin's still a little bit hobbled as well. So I think just coming in, he's projected a little over 10 points. So again, just more coming under that projection. I think that one's going to be another tight game as well. And again, I think you said it, like just sort of his projection's a little high based on some of the early season success that he's had. So I think he'll kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Bust indicators for sure. All right, yep. I'll pass this next one to you. I'll let maybe you've got your notes up, but we've got Jesse versus Steve. Who do you got in this matchup?
Jesse versus Steve. Who did I have here? I have Amon-Ra with the boom this week. He's just continues to be a stud, and going up against Tampa, I think that's going to be a shootout type of game, and I think this is one of those spots where he could catch a touchdown or two and have another 8 to 10 catches for 100 yards. Like I could see him really going off in this game, and
he's due.
So I'll continue to ride that train. And then my bust for this week, I guess it will depend.
He's got
Kittle
out the lineup.
Play. I don't know if he is or not, but I had him as my bust. So
okay. Jesse, your flex or your tight end are busting. So
yeah.
All right, cool. We'll move on. Our next matchup, 2 more. We've got Ryan versus Nick. Battle of 3-3 and 2-4 here. I'll let you take it over. I'll give it away so you don't have to look it up. But you are picking Ryan in this one. Give us why are you picking Ryan?
I just think I know I put Ryan kind of in the scared category, but I do think this is a good week for him. Dowdle's going up against the Jets. It's hard to really go against him right now for how the number of touches that he's been getting in the red zone, touchdowns. JSN's going up against Houston. Again, Baker against Detroit. I think that's going to be a shootout. Henderson should hopefully fall in the end zone here, maybe against Tennessee. So just see a lot of upside this week on his side. Fanning against Miami, they're just atrocious. So not to say I don't think Nick's team can't do well. I just see some of the matchups being a little bit tougher on his side. I think I picked what did I pick? Dobbins. I believe
yeah, Dobbins is the bust. He's
so.
been on a run. I think he's been good this year. I'm curious to see how long the wheels stay on for him.
Yeah.
So, all right, perfect.
Yeah, I just think another projection. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our final matchup here. We've got, let me peek over. Oh, we've got you versus Glenn, and I'm going to call you out. You didn't pick yourself. That's a pod taboo. We pick ourselves on the pod. So why are you the first place team in first by 25 more points than the next person? Why are you not confident this week?
It's a bit of a neg.
You didn't want to say neg on YouTube. It's okay. Yeah. There's closed captions. That might get us flagged. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do think, honestly, with the Monday Night Miracle, I think I'm due for a little bit of regression this week in the eyes of the fantasy gods here, and I do think Glenn's got some good matchups. I picked AJ Brown to boom. I know he's going against the Vikings, but it just feels like one of those weeks where he has 2 touchdowns. There's a lot of noise right now over there, and I feel like this is one of those weeks where they bounce back spot, are able to silence some of the critics here, and I think AJ kind of leads that effort. Minnesota's coming off of a couple weeks in London. I could see it being a bit of a letdown spot for them, but we'll see. And again, I think some of the matchups on my side are a little bit tough as well. So
a regression lost and an AJ Brown boom. Glenn, I apologize in advance for the witchcraft that Ty is committing on this podcast right now. None of that is going to happen.
It's scary season.
So all right, so. Moving on, I haven't summarized any predictions. We just do these things and we move on. We're not going to dwell on it. So we're moving on to our next segment. We have a surprise contributor. We've got fans all over the state of Connecticut, all over, really maybe even the country at the amount of hours that our channel has been viewed at this point. We've got our youngest contributing correspondent coming in to give us some predictions ahead for the week. So Ty, you and I are going to not talk. We're going to pass it over to Reagan for her segment, Raeganomics.
All right, these are Reagan's predictions for the week. All right, so let's start with the first matchup. Me versus Jesse. Who's going to win?
Daddy.
You think I'm going to win?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, Tyler versus Glenn.
Tyler.
You think Tyler's going to win?
Huh?
Okay. Bill versus Dan.
Zed.
You think Dan's going to win?
Yeah.
Ryan versus Nick.
Ryan.
Okay. Brendan versus Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. And then Jack versus Evan.
Jack.
Jack, okay. Thank you. And that's Reagan's predictions of the week. Can you do a little dance?
All right, perfect. Thank you, Reagan. That was we'll get a Reagan tracker. We'll see how accurate she is. Maybe she can beat the S&P. All right, that concludes our week ahead power rankings, predictions, some booms and busts. On now quickly to pod updates. So As you can see, a lot more production, a little bit more, hopefully, of a formula here. But we still need a couple of things. So the first thing, every great podcast has a mailbag section. So we need to start seeing some emails. I don't care if it's segments. I don't care if it's just complaints. Talk some smack anonymously. I'll read it. I'll say it. Weird questions. Doesn't have to be football related. Let's get more conversations going on the pod. So send those in. Doesn't have to even be a league member to contribute. If you know somebody who wants to contribute, go ahead and do it. Our other announcement, we've got a logo. I have not used AI for anything but the logo. Everything has been built by me through a Canva 30-day trial. So hopefully we don't lose everything in about a month, but we may unless we get some donations. Don't do that. But we are looking for a new logo. If you want to use AI, go ahead. If you want to draw it, I'll probably prefer a doodle. But if you want to contribute a logo, feel free. Same thing with music. If you've got music ideas for sections, we could use some non-licensed music. So go through a playlist, find that. But feel free to contribute. Obviously, you can see we have more people contributing. At this point with Steve kicking in a segment. Ty's been our guest. They've done a great job. We've got a hired producer over here to my right. And we have another exciting announcement. We are starting a new, hopefully weekly segment called the Commissioner's Address. We are going to hear from Jimmy. He's got things to say. He's very intelligent. He has a PhD. So we want to hear the things that he has to think so that we can all think better. So we're going to bring Jimmy on just in a second. He's going to go through his topic for the week, and then we will come back to me and Ty to wrap things up with the 6-player parlay and the catch-up. So I'm going to pass it over to Jimmy. Ty and I will stop talking, and we'll go from here. Oh, here, Ty, we got to go off cam.
I can stay on camera.
No, it'll make things worse.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to be here. My second appearance on the podcast, and I'm here to talk about one thing: hope. Because we're now 6 weeks into the season. You'd think that the standings are starting to take shape, and we're starting to reveal kind of who the stronger teams are, who the weaker teams are, who we expect to rise to the top, and who we expect to fall to the basement. But I'm here to tell you that we don't know yet, and I have proof. So what I'm here to show you is a brief history of the comebacks that we've experienced as a league. I need you guys to confirm for me that you can see what I'm showing.
No, but I know how to fix it. Hold on. Pause in production. Come on now. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to get this to share. Maybe if I share my screen, I'll pull it up. Sorry, everybody.
There's just too much knowledge in this, Jim. You just broke the stream.
Don't worry, everybody. We're coming back. We're coming back. Got it. Why can't I do this? Oh, man. How long we paused here for?
Are you guys able to see it? Like on your end?
No, I can't see it at all. Okay. All right, there you go, Jimmy. Thank you, everybody.
You got it?
Yes, you're good.
All right. So as I said, I'm here to convince you not to give up. That's pretty much what I'm here to do. So starting from the beginning, in our first season, our first official season, we had Dan. Started the first season we ever really had 0-4. Depressing, right? He actually finished the first 6 weeks, where we are right now 1-5. We got 2 teams in our league right now, 1-5. Dan inspires hope. At the end of the season, he finished as the 3rd seed, 8-5 overall. He went on a tear, finished the season 8-5. The following season, our defending champion, our current defending champion, and at the time defending champion, Brendan Duffy, also started the season 0-4. He won his next 2 games, ended up finishing the season 8-5, second in the standings. And then perhaps the most infamous, I'm going to call it infamous, comeback in the history of the league. Our podcast host started 1-5 back in 2020. He ended up finishing the season 8-5, making the playoffs as the 5th seed. But that's not where his story ends. He actually went on to win the championship that year. A 1-5 team to the championship. If that doesn't inspire you not to give up, I don't know what will. And then the very next season, Dan, again, starts the season 1-5, but he doesn't give up. He continues to fight, finishes 9-5. Ends up making the playoffs as the 3rd seed. So, as I said, this should give you hope, those of you down in the basement. For a little more context, over the years, 9 teams have started 2-4 and made the playoffs. That's almost a team every season, if you think about it. 3 teams overall have started 1-5 and made the playoffs. We've also had 3 teams in the history of the league start 1-5 or 2-4 and then win the championship. And then even further down the line, we've actually seen 3 teams play to a 6-4 record. So under 500 after 10 weeks, and then go on to make the playoffs. So these are reasons for optimism. I'm here to give you hope as your commissioner, to inspire you to press on, make some trades, maybe. Stay active with your fab and stay committed, because it's not over yet. It wasn't over for them, and it's not over for you.
All right.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Jimmy. We will have that improved from a technical standpoint next week, but that was great. Hopefully everybody was inspired. If you are feeling like you need it, me at 2-4, I'm feeling terrified because now I gotta worry about even more people. All right, Jimmy.
No one is out of it.
I am, for formatting reasons, I'm looking at it. I'm gonna have to have you leave the pod. You can stay with us audio-wise.
Fair
I'm gonna have
enough.
to leave you for video, and we're gonna go to our next segment. We've got the 6-player parlay. Ty, I don't know what the odds are. I don't know if you ran them. I couldn't run them last time when Ryan gave them to me because it was so early. I don't know if that's maybe a West Coast Washington State thing because my apps aren't updating. But do you have your odds or not? If not, that's fine. But we'll get right
it was a
into it.
little early when I was running them. I think one of them didn't show yet. I'd have to rerun them.
Okay. That just means they're plus
I'll
500.
I'll run through pretty quickly here.
Right.
So starting off the bat, we're gonna go with Dowdle. Just gonna keep that train rolling. I think he falls in the end zone.
The Dowdle wrench was on.
Yep. Then we're gonna go Amon Ra.
Okay.
Again, everyone just kind of keeping that train rolling, going against Tampa. I think he eats this week. For me, I got to stay on my guy Javonte. He's been a stud. They feed him a ton in the red zone. I think he gets in. Jack,
6
for you,
seconds,
I have Rashad White. Then we got Hurts, and then last but not least, Diggs.
I love it. All right. I don't know. Do you know what Ryan went last week? I know he picked. I don't know who he picked. That was a long time ago now. We'll look that up. I know Jimmy went 4 for 6. I'm gonna say that Ryan didn't. I don't think Ryan did 4 for 6, right? He didn't do better.
I don't believe so.
So all right. So Jimmy remains on top. We'll see if you can get more than 4. 4 might just win. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if maybe we can get an update on those odds. I'll post them to the YouTube channel if I do find them in time. All right. Let's move on to our final segment. You have made it, Ty. You have made it through the podcast. This is hands down our longest to date. Some technical difficulties, but everyone can just fast forward through those. But even with those out, it would still be our longest. I had a feeling it might be with the new format, but we are still going to close out the same way. So we have got, again, we've got your face up here, and I am just going to go, and I think we're having some technical stuff happening. Oh. Our producer is doing some advanced work here, and she just did it in lightning speed. Thank you to our great producer. So, Ty, I'm going to give you the floor. What do you have going on in your life? What is new? What would you like to share with the rest of the league?
So as many of you know, I got married as we're filming this 2 months ago to date. So that's been exciting and it feels good to.
We were eating dinner right about now.
I know. It was a good dinner too. then after that, it was a little blurry. But yeah, so got the bling, and now it's just onto the fun stuff, like trying to find a house and all the fun that comes with that. But we are planning to go to Italy for our honeymoon in May, and we have that to look forward to.
Hell yeah! How many days are you going to Italy for?
We're gonna go May 9th through the 20th, so 11 days.
Okay, all right. That's a healthy little trip. I don't think either of you will lose any weight, as so many people do, but I'm sure you guys will have a good time. What other questions? I guess let's dive into this. 2 months married. I'm heading in. We will be 2 years in a couple months. But I want to ask, in the first 2 months, I don't recall them. They feel a long time ago. What's the thing that you're most surprised about, if anything? Has anything not changed? Like, what has been the thing that maybe was the most different from your expectations?
Not much has really changed. We've lived together for a long time now. I think just the funny part is how many people immediately ask, like, when are you going to start having kids?
So, I won't ask that. I won't ask that on the pod.
Yeah, it's insane. So it's been nice, honestly. It's just been nice to enjoy being married, and now we're back to being an old married couple like we already were beforehand. So not much has changed. Still watching Jeopardy every night and going to bed at 9. So
it's nice.
Not much has changed.
It's nice knowing they'd have to get a lawyer involved. All right, so Ty, I think that wraps us up for the week. Thank you so much for sticking around. You were here before. Ryan knows the pain of it. Jimmy, Glenn, everybody soon hopefully will know. We will see you guys next week with another episode of the HomeLeagePod.